Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Today's video I want to talk about the news that has now been confirmed that we've been talking about for the last month about the goalkeeper situation as well as Diogo Costa. I want to talk about Europa League, including some of the teams that have dropped down, some team news for today, and the predicted 11. So giving it a start out with this goalkeeper situation, as you know, back on October 5th, I put on video that Diogo Costa would be the top target for United in terms of a De Gea replacement, and they have been scouting him extensively. I have also discussed that they are looking to a reduced contract for David De Gea, however, and to let Dean Henderson go. And that's been reiterated to me as recently as yesterday, that their ideal situation would be for De Gea to accept a reduced role, reduced wages, sell Dean Henderson, and buy Diogo Costa. But there are some challenges with this goalkeeper situation, and an article from The Athletic from Laurie Whitwell and Paul Ballas has confirmed a lot of this information, but expressed a few of the challenges that I would like to discuss that we all unfortunately know. Number one is, of course, David De Gea, as a competitive player, would want to remain as the number one player. Would he accept a reduced role? Would he accept just being competition? Not sure. At the same time, that's just part of the game. If he leaves, then they can just buy Diogo Costa anyway. So his bargaining position would be, is there another club that's going to offer him competitive wages and a number one spot? My answer to that is potentially no. Of course, if Jan Oblak were to leave Atletico Madrid, then perhaps it opens the door for him to return to Atletico. But either way, that problem is kind of solved. So I see it as a win-win for the club in terms of their position of strength. They can get Diogo Costa. If De Gea won't accept a reduced role, they let him go. If he will, they keep him on reduced wages with a reduced role. And that's the situation. Ideally, it will be up to Ten Hag to decide, but from what I understand, he has asked them to scout Diogo Costa, prefers him as the main target, and would like to get him. The other main challenge with all of this is, of course, money. Striker is a big priority, a huge need. Can they afford it? Now, I've expressed prior, the way that they could afford Diogo Costa is because he'd be on fairly cheap wages. If they clear the 100,000 Dean Henderson is on, sell him for 15, 20 million, and reduce De Gea's wages by 200,000-300,000 a week, which is what he would have to accept, they have the money to pay for Diogo Costa. That's how they can afford it. The reduction there would account for his wages and the cost of buying him, actually. The reduction and the sale of those two players. So it is still feasible that this happens, even though United do not have money, which is a concern and is a serious problem. But it would be reliant on being able to clear Dean Henderson and getting De Gea either gone or on much reduced wages. So this situation, everything they've been talking about has now been confirmed quite well. It's something to keep an eye on, as I think aside from striker, it's the most likely area that there's going to be changes in the next year and through summer. I think it's a top priority alongside striker. Speaking of Diogo Costa, if you've been watching, I think at this point it's pretty well accepted by everyone with the attention on him that he's maybe one of the most exciting goalkeepers out there. He's had great game after great game in League and Champions League. He saved 2 penalties in a row yesterday. He saved the most penalties in a group stage ever, or something like that, and is just in general a fantastic keeper. Everything that he does fits the modern style, and frankly, with the 60 million release clause, it's probably worth it seeing what Ederson and Alisson cost and how they transformed and extremely improved City and Liverpool in helping them take that next step forward. So I think it's worthwhile. And they should do anything. Let De Gea go for free if they need to get another backup keeper. Sell Dean Henderson, whatever it takes to get Diogo Costa into the team as a goalkeeper next year. That modern style keeper is the way forward. I actually think De Gea is doing decently well right now, but this is too good of a goalkeeper talent to pass up on and delay, and the improvement will be dramatic all along the way. So that's the biggest thing. Getting Champions League would certainly help, just to ensure that there's a bit more money, a bit more financial prosperity, a bit more way to afford things, as obviously the striker situation is going to be the main one. There was some more news that came out. Just look here about a couple different strikers still. There's still a lot of talk about, there's talk about Benjamin Šeško still as a target. The information that I've heard is again that it's among a list. Goncalo Ramos viewed as very attainable maybe a more attainable option. Victor Osimhen probably the number one target, and then Kane and Šeško still on the list, still there. There's going to be a lot. I'm sure there's other names there, but it's going to be very much a balance of who can they afford, who wants to come, who has a good season and doesn't have injury issues. One thing to keep in mind with Victor Osimhen is if he can get healthy this year, what happens post-World Cup, all of that. So there's a lot up in the air in terms of who the potential striker would be. And then obviously there's players like Cody Gakpo. As to, could they be brought in sooner? Could they come in sooner given the injury problems that United have? But regardless, goalkeeper situation is, as I've been talking about for the last month, Dean Henderson expected to be sold. David De Gea expected to be offered a reduced contract and offered a limited role. And should he accept that, that will allow them to move for Diogo Costa. If he doesn't accept it, they likely just let him go and get Diogo Costa. That would be what Ten Hag wants, okay? If it doesn't happen, you know who to blame. There's only one person that could put a stop to all of that, but that is what Ten Hag wants. That is what the football side of the club have been instructed to look into as the ideal situation. And it's going to be down to him in the end, and hopefully that nobody is interfering with that. The Europa run gets a lot more interesting now, as of course we have to win the next 2 games, and I think hope for Sociedad to drop some points or win by a couple goal margin against them, or tonight we need to win by more goals than them and then beat them by at least 1 or 2 in order to step over them for first place if they do not drop any points to today's game as well. And that's very interesting because you have Atletico, Juventus, and Barcelona all dropping down to the Europa League this year, which makes it one of the most stacked Europa Leagues of all time. It'd be better not to have to play one of those teams dropping down from the Champions League and have that extra round of fixtures and be in first place. But regardless, it's going to be a tough run into Europa, so it's a good thing we are also 1 point off of the top 4. You never know what can happen in league, but it's time to really start showing some form. And you would hope that with how well we're playing, maybe tonight is a game we can absolutely batter someone for the first time, get some real confidence going into the coming weeks. And the games that are to come leading up to the World Cup, because we could be qualified in first for the groups and then hopefully in the top 4 by the time World Cup rolls around. That would be really nice. So in addition to that, or following that, with some team news. Unfortunately, Anthony Martial was expected to be available, and then on Tuesday it was confirmed that he was still injured. Ten Hag confirmed he's been training, but has still not joined the group. If he had joined the group, then he would have been available on the bench. He's still not joined the group, and it's starting to get fairly problematic as to why this is happening, why this continues. I understand they're not, it's not about rushing him back, but he's taken a lot of time. Every injury's been different. Random, mysterious, out of nowhere. It's kind of crazy at this point, and you have to wonder what the deal is. However, other than that, everybody else is pretty much back and healthy. Van de Beek, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and I do expect that's going to mean we're seeing some rotation tonight for the first time in a while. This is my predicted 11 going into it. Predicted, not necessarily wanted, but it should be a team good enough. Here's what I will tell you, and I'll start at the back and get to the front because there's something I know, but nothing that I can say as of the moment. So ignore that number 10 in question mark. I think Malaysia will get a start. I think Maguire, Lindelof, and Dalot will play. I think Martinez needs a rest, and obviously with Varane's injury, we're going to need some rotation in that back line now. Dalot, I think will start. Wan-Bissaka maybe soon, but we'll see there. I've had questions in the midfield. Eriksen did the press conference, so I imagine he's starting. Ten Hag has run Casemiro, Fred, and Eriksen a couple times alongside Ronaldo and Antony, and so I thought that 5 he would stick with in Europa League. He's run that in Europa, and I think that maybe he'll stick with it. It could be a game for Scott McTominay, but I don't know that he'll want to rotate that much. Casemiro's still not played that much overall, and it's a good time to give Bruno a rest. And I just don't think yet, I talked about this on streaming yesterday, but I just don't think that we have reached the point in time where we can play McTominay in place of Casemiro and play the same way. I'm going to pull something up in a second while I find something here. One moment. I know I'm on video, so I could technically pause the video, but I just don't think that McTominay has this necessarily that kind of capability yet. Yesterday, I went over some pictures in Discord that I found, and I'm just going to try to open these and see if I can somehow get this pulled up very quickly. Hang on one sec. Let me save this. That I think will demonstrate the problem and why I just do not see how on earth. Let's see. That I do not see how McTominay can, as of yet, play in the top. Play the same way with McTominay, even as rotation. I know he was doing well, but recall when McTominay was doing well, we were winning some games, but we were also playing a bit of a different style. Let me hide all of these real quick. These are old, and then let me pull this up here and try and show you what I want to demonstrate with this. This is right here, Casemiro's chart on the screen. This is his. Okay, in terms of his ability, what he's brought, it's fantastic. So this is by percentile. So 89th percentile touches, 83 progressive distance. It's compared to DMs. 95th in tackles attempted, 78 tackle percentage, 84 interceptions, 89 progressive passes. So he's been doing a huge amount of progressions and movement from deep, while also doing high tackling and interceptions, being huge in breaking up play. Now, let me show you McTominay's. And like I said, again, it's not that he wasn't doing well, but he was doing well in an extremely limited role. Oops. Let me hide this one. Show this again. Let me just delete that. Sorry, having trouble here. This one must be locked. There we go. This is, as you can see, Scott McTominay's. At the same time, his chart in terms of tackles attempted, 43rd. Interceptions, 47. Passing, 43. Progressive passes, 9. It's a totally different world with McTominay, and so that's why I think that we can't necessarily do that. So give me your thoughts on the game below. We have a surprise in the front three that you'll find out soon. Let me know what you think about the game. Let me know who should start. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.